welcome to episode 2 of Whole Lot of Wolves. We're your hosts. I'm Joshua Buckley.
And I'm Paul LePage.
And joining us this week is our special guest from New York Wolves, David Koppe. David, how's it going?
Hey, Josh. Hey, Paul. Nice to meet you, Josh. I know Paul, you and I have met, but thanks for having me on the show.
So tell us a little bit about how your support of Wolves came about.
Well, I was born there, so I didn't really have much choice. Fortunately, my eldest brother, Mike, made sure that my allegiance was aligned appropriately. I was born in Nettingshall Park on the slopes of Sedgley Beacon. Hopefully some listeners know where that is. I moved around. I left at about 19, went to university, moved back to Birmingham briefly, and then I've been in the States since 1990. So I've been away from Wolverhampton most of my life now. And Wolves have been a very emotional tie back to where I was born. So, and very, very, very mixed set of emotions in those emotional ties, as anyone who's been a fan for a while will know.
And how about New York Wolves? How did that get started, and how's it grown over the last few years?
Yeah, last couple of years have been crazy. I went to Wolverhampton Grammar School, and a friend from there happened to live in New Jersey, and we reconnected after a few years, and I think we'd met up for a couple of matches. One of them was a 4-1 defeat to Villa, so we won't talk about that. But first match of the Premier League season, we said, we got to meet up, and there's a well-known football hangout in New York called Legends. So we met there with our wives, and turned out there's about half a dozen other Wolves fans there, and we said, "Oh, we didn't know we all existed here, so we should form a group." And actually, my co-chairman Dan John worked at a pub on the Upper East Side, and Legends is great, but the problem is you have like 25 matches on at the same time. I'm actually not really exaggerating. And Dan said, "Hey, I work at this place. If we want a place that we can call our home and just have Wolves on, I can make sure we're on every week." And we said, "Yeah, that sounds good." So New York Wolves was born that day. We have about probably 10, 20 fairly common people showing up to watch the matches. And being in New York, obviously we get a lot of visitors, and we've had quite a lot of tourists stop by. On Facebook, we have about 200-300 people who follow us. So, and it's weird to think that was just only 2 years ago. But it's been great. It's been wonderful.
Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about Faux Sunday at the start of last season? How did all that come about, and how did the day go?
Oh, yeah, Faux Sunday was great. I will claim credit for the horrible pun that formed the name. It occurred to me one day. We're owned by Fosun, and it's on a Sunday, so let's call it Faux Sunday. But it was actually Dan John's idea. I didn't actually know that Fosun actually own a skyscraper in Manhattan, really close to the World Trade Center. And Dan said, how about we get in touch with them and see if they'll, sponsor some sort of event. So he worked with the club. Russell and Alan from the Worldwide Supporters Club got in touch with their marketing departments. That's how Faux Sunday was born. The club helped us with some of the promotion and marketing. And they hosted us in the plaza outside their building. They've got an absolutely massive television in the lobby. So they also got some Qingdao beer, which always helps. So yeah, it was great. We had about 40 people. And to my knowledge, it is the only time that any Premier League team has had an outdoor watch party in Manhattan. So I'm gonna stick to that. During the first half, we actually found out that New York City law prevents the consumption of alcoholic beverages in public spaces. So we rapidly moved inside at half time to make sure that we did the Qingdao justice. They had a little lobby downstairs with a screen on, so we watched the second half there. So it was great. I mean, 40 people. There were some locals, with people who've traveled a little while. We had quite a few people who just happened to be visiting New York and joined us as well. So it was a great event. Fosun actually reached out to us earlier this year, wanting to look at doing a follow-on event with making it even bigger and doing food and so on. Obviously, that's on a indefinite hold at the moment, but definitely watch this space. We'd love to do it again. It was really cool.
Great. And you personally, you regularly travel for the Wolves, both domestically, when it's been a Premier League, NBC Fan Fest weekend, like when we met for the first time, and also back to England for games too at the Molineux. So can you tell the listeners a little bit about that match day experience for an overseas fan when it comes to the worldwide Wolves setup at the Molineux?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a local, obviously, so I know my way around and so on, and I know enough people around to be able to get backdoor tickets now that they're really hard to come by. But yeah, the Worldwide Wolves has been a great development since Fosun took over. Alan Perrins has done a great job building it out. There's basically a worldwide supporters lounge that anybody who's a member of Worldwide Wolves can join. There is limited numbers that can get in, but as far as I know, no one's ever been turned away. And basically, on a match day, Alan lines up a former player to speak and answer questions. There's food and beverages available in the lounge, and it's a really great way to, for someone, like I said, obviously I'm a local and I'm from the area, but for someone who's maybe going to their first ever Wolves game, a lot of the new adopted fans that we have, it's really a fantastic way to get to know a lot of people from really all over the world. There's a lot of local fans from the area. There's folk from Berlin Wolves, Manchester Wolves, some of the Australian supporters groups. Scandinavia has a few. It's a fantastic way really to network with other Wolves fans from around the world. And Worldwide Wolves also will try and help overseas fans get tickets to games. Obviously, tickets at Molineux are pretty short supply, so there's no guarantees there. But it's a really good way to help, hopefully our growing international fan base get to matches and be able to, feel part of the club, which I think is really great.
Parado, así está Venezuela. Las indicaciones de Dudamel, roba Hurtado y a correr. Se va el tanque Hurtado. Hurtado!
Well, guys, let's go ahead and talk about that great start to the season. Wolves 2, Sheffield United 0. What were you guys thinking after those first 7 minutes?
Personally, yeah, I've been a Wolves fan for a long time, and you just start to think, okay, where is it going to go wrong? I thought maybe we'd started too strongly. Thoughts of Wembley against Watford kind of started coming. I hate to bring that up, but no, I thought we looked a fantastic way to start, and I think we looked pretty comfortable throughout. It was a great way to start the season. I know they hit the post, but we hit the woodwork a couple of times as well. So, that was really a great way to start. And I think sometimes they, we last season the team seemed to start a little slow, and you heard that Wolves are a second half team. That pretty much put that to bed in that game. So hopefully that continues, which I think will shock a lot of people.
The first couple of minutes, I think the commentators talked about us not playing any pre-season games and Sheffield United having 4 and whether we'd have a few cobwebs, and pretty much as soon as they said that, we went up the other end and scored. So yeah, kind of uncharted territory for us as far as that goes. But I agree, we looked sharp, we looked threatening, and it wasn't just kind of, we had more goals in us, I think, as well. If either Sais's header or Sais's one off the keeper that hit the post and Raul followed up and missed, I think if either of those had gone in, we could probably got another 1 or 2. We looked very threatening going forwards. I like the shape. I thought kind of Neto, where he kind of fitted in, kind of tucked in a little bit more deeper on the left-hand side, and then Donk on the opposite side. He put some nice runs together. And what I liked, particularly against a team like Sheffield United, was we had a threat from set pieces, those corners. We looked dangerous. We got a lot of height in that team. So we sized Dendoncker. Jimenez is good in the air. Martial's making a few enemies in there, getting stuck in, and that's the type of things you want to see. So I think we had all we had positives across the park on Monday, and it was great.
And really good for Saiss because we've been trying to replace him this whole transfer window. I mean, us fans, what we always point at from last year. Well, he's solid, but we need a new center back. Well, all he does is come out and played fantastic. Didn't get a yellow card. Saved the goal there in the second half, coming out of nowhere. Just awesome performance by him.
I noticed the front three seemed really fluid. There were a lot of times I'm looking at where, especially Neto and Pedence, they both seemed to be on the left, and then Jimenez was on the right. So I think, those three just being able to drift into different positions really changes the attack. I mean, they're a great front three to have, especially with, Traore can step in and Jota coming off the bench. That's pretty scary. But, having those different ways of playing, how many times have people said, we need a plan B? Well, having different ways of playing, I think it will be a big progression for us as well.
I think shout out to Martial as well as left wing back, and often you pick up those comments, or he was better in a back three, and he's a little bit shaky if he's the full back. I think he came in and slotted in perfectly, and very like for like in terms of the performances that Johnny brings as well, that he's not going to bomb on and get forwards all the time, but he's pretty solid and not many folk got past him. So I think that bodes well for the future as well. So yeah, he stood out. Kind of Moutinho, he was always 7.5, 8 out of 10. When you've got that quality across the pitch, it was good.
I was just wondering about right wing back. Traore can do a job there, but I think he's a little suspect defensively. And against, someone like a Man City, you don't think you really want Traore in that position. Oscar Burr did really well, but he's pretty young. So I wonder if there's still a big piece of business to be done in the transfer window with hopefully someone who wears a red shirt and a hyphenated last name coming in. But we'll see about that.
I don't know. I'm hoping for a Mexican named after a virus, personally.
Yes, indeed. Or a beer.
Yeah. So the other big news that came up on Sunday was Nuno agreed to the contract extension through 2023. Boy, breath, sigh of relief right there. I think all Wolves fans.
You should overdub Angel singing on the podcast for that comment.
Yeah, I think it's
news.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a big statement that we've got that commitment from him, and David talked a little bit earlier about that negativity that often breeds through us fans that have been there and seen the worst. And until that was signed, sealed, and delivered in terms of that fresh signature on the contract, there's always that little bit of nerves hanging on. But when you go out, the pretty much the start of the pre-season and make our first signing of an 18-year-old attacker that smashes the transfer record, then I kind of knew from that point personally that Nuno was a done deal. And I think personally that highlights maybe how the power structure has shifted a little bit now that we haven't got that director of football anymore. So I think Nuno's contract, it gives me the belief that the buck stops with him, that all of the resources that go into bringing players in for the first team, you've got the scouting network, you've got a director of scouting, Jeff Shee's involved, there's the other guy mentioned as well. I'm pretty sure now that it's all geared to giving Nuno his choice of player, where previously it may have got to Kevin Thelwell and he may have been kind of contemplating the player, is he going to get a business return from him, or is he too old? Is he a Martial? Is he 31? Are they not going to get the value from that type of signing? So I think kind of Nuno's contract signing, it just points to him having full 100% control over football operations that he's in charge of, and I'm a huge fan of that.
That's how it should be. Can I also mention it happened on my birthday, and that's the best birthday present I've had in a very, very long time.
All right, Paul, I teased to you earlier in the week that I have a hot take. So you want to hear it?
Let's go.
Okay. This contract runs through 2023. I think there's a reason for that. When's the next World Cup? December of 2022. I really think for that 2026 World Cup cycle, Nuno's going to get the Portugal job. And I say this because look at the guys he's bringing in. I mean, he's bringing in so many young Portuguese stars. He's going to get to develop these guys over the next 3 years. And I think that might be his dream job if you made him tell you the truth. I mean, a Portuguese man who gets a chance to manage his country's team, especially with having so much knowledge of a lot of these guys. I really think that, he's going to give his all to Wolves, but I do think in the back of his mind, he's going to be prepping some of these young kids for Team Portugal for that 2026 cycle.
I think it's a valid hot take, and I'd probably have to do some research into how Portugal have gone and chosen their managers previously. But I don't think that they're a country that really needs that coach that has done it on the domestic level in terms of trophies, which at this point in time Nuno hasn't done. And I'm pretty sure that Carlos Queiroz went from Man United as Fergie's assistant straight through to that top job at Portugal. He may have gone somewhere to manage in between, but that wasn't a rapid turnaround. So you'd think if the Portugal FA have that mindset that they want a coach that maybe doesn't have that those trophies behind him, that it's more about the individual and what he can bring, then yeah, it could well be that his next move is into that top job for Portugal. And yeah, you wouldn't blame him for that by any stretch of the imagination.
They could be in Champions League at that, having qualified for Champions League that year. So that could change things. But I do think he wanted to give himself the option that if at that point he wants to leave Wolves, if the opportunity is there for Portugal, he'd be able to take it just without an issue.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I know Nuno's always talked about building something. So, if you're in a national team manager job, you really get to build because, the players at your disposal, you are limited. I mean, picking only Portuguese players isn't really much of a limit, but, would he be at that age ready to just do international football where you're not working with players day in, day out? That would be my only thought. I think Mourinho said something along the same lines at after one of his more recent sackings that he still wanted the day in, day out interaction with players, which you wouldn't get in the national team. But yeah, I think at some point Nuno is probably an absolute guarantee to have the Portugal job. But hopefully we have him for many more years after that.
And hopefully we get those trophies that Paul's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can go manage Portugal at the World Cup if we won the league and the Champions League that year. That's cool. We'd all approve that, right?
So let's talk about some transfers here. The last episode we recorded, and then the next day the Alex Telles news came out, and so we were trying to get it out there as soon as possible because all of our predictions had been outdated already. So as of this day, as of recording, what do you guys think is going to happen at right wing back?
That's the big one, and I'm probably repeating myself, but again, we wouldn't be in this situation if there wasn't a player coming in. Right. And from the speculation that you see where it comes from, I'm not sure whether it's kind of rumors, hearsay, a little bit of speculation, but I'm pretty sure that Corona is choice number one.
He's my choice.
Yeah, it's my choice as well, because I think not only the versatility that he brings, not only would be a perfect fit for right wing back, but you've got a genuine forward on the right hand side as well. So having that versatility, what he can bring in the position and to other parts of the pitch, I think it would be something that Nuno looks out for and would be a real advantage to the team. I think that there's dominoes when it comes to right wing back, and the Doherty one has gone on that side, but the one coming in, that domino to kick that chain off hasn't yet fallen yet. So yeah, when it does, we'll see.
Yeah, I think you're right. There definitely was a plan in place. They would not have let someone who's been so integral to our team the last 3 years go without a plan. I wonder if we maybe were a little unlucky with Maitland-Niles, because he was on the outs at Arsenal, played fantastically well in the FA Cup, got called up to England, and then all of a sudden that might have, upset our plans. But I think the club is smart enough to not put all their eggs in one basket. So Corona as another backup would be smart. But I definitely think there's a plan to bring in some solid player in that position. They're not going to rely on Traore or Burr or Sanderson for the whole season. Nothing wrong with any of them, but you need someone more of a natural Doherty replacement.
I think that's where kind of I don't have a great deal of belief that I think Maitland-Niles has been one of probably the half a dozen names we've been kicking around and we've probably inquired about, but I think it probably came from his camp to say that Wolves are stiffing around. Come on, Arsenal, you've got to force your hand. You're going to give him game time because he could move. You've got these teams that want to sign him. I'd take him every day again for that versatility down the right hand side. What he can bring to the midfield. I think he's got a good profile, a skill set that would suit the Wolves down to a T. But again, very little comes out of the club in terms of that type of speculation. So again, if the likes of Tim Spires at the Athletic ran the story, Joe Edwards at the Express and Star, they ran the story. So that kind of tells you that we've been in for him, but I'm not entirely sure he's number one choice.
The versatility thing is a key filter. We're linked with hundreds of players a week, it seems like. And as soon as somebody says, he's a versatile player who can play like Marcel, right? He can play left wing back. He can play left side of defense. He can maybe play left midfield. Then all of a sudden my ears perk up, because that's exactly, it goes with the small squad that Nuno wants. That requires that players to play in multiple positions. So I think, Maitland-Niles or Corona would fit the bill.
Do we think Tellez coming to Wolves is dead now?
I'm not sure. Again, it's it's a domino effect, and it really hinges on what Man United are going to do. So it does come down to that side of things, but that leads me to highlight that I still think there's going to be an outgoing in terms of Vinagre. And if Vinagre was nailed on, he would have started on Monday night.
Absolutely.
I think that was telling that Marcel came in and straight away he got that starting berth. So again, there's rumours that Vinagre's moved out of the property in Wolverhampton. He's took his 2 cars back to the dealership. Again, it's all hearsay and he said, she said. But if no smoke without fire, if he goes, then again, that's going to leave us a little bit light on the left-hand side. So I'm not. I don't think it's as positive as it once was in terms of Tellez, but I'm not ruling it out at this stage by any means.
Yeah, how about Tottenham coming out of nowhere and swooping up Man U's left back target?
Yeah, and Mr. Bale as well. So
yeah,
they're doing bits. We're going to do bits. Chelsea have done bits. Where's the lack of spending due to the pandemic? That's been completely blown out the water, and people are going for it this season. And we've still got ways to go. It's not till the start of October, this transfer window. So a lot's going to happen, and we've even got that week into the championship season afterwards. So even if we don't get our, top 3 guys at right wing back. Who says we don't go in for Aaron's at Norwich again?
Right.
That gets brought back up again, and that
Right.
fits a good profile in terms of age
Great point.
and what he can bring. So I think there's a number of plates spinning, and we're going to still be in for an exciting couple of weeks. And no doubt we'll be talking about this next week, and things may have changed, but it's going to give us plenty to talk about for sure.
I do think I can say with absolute confidence that Jimenez definitely here to stay through the rest of this season. If you listen to him talk after the game, he was once again talking about dreaming big, and it just seems like he's really settled in with Wolves for this whole season, and he's got expectations. He doesn't. It sounded to me like he doesn't want to go to a club that's already there. He wants, like Nuno, to be part of that process to get a team there.
I think he's seen it as well from that side of things when he's made those moves in his career previously that hasn't worked out, and this is the one where he's come into the team and he's got the number 9 jersey, and he's the fulcrum of the side, and he's never had it so good in terms of having a team that's built around him. And boy, has he repaid that transfer fee already in terms of getting close towards 20 goals in a Premier League season. It's fantastic, and he started bang out the gate again on Monday, and looked every inch the value that we're getting from him. So I agree with that for sure.
He looked a little tired at the end of last season, like a lot of the players did, with all the games they played in a newborn at home. I'm sure that's part of it as well. But Monday, he was, oh my God, he was just, that goal was superb.
Oh,
and he's not going to go anywhere where he's not starting every game. Why would he do that? He's 29. He's not going to risk 2 seasons on the bench. So unless someone can offer him a starting place, I mean, a starting place at Juventus in the Champions League with Ronaldo, okay, you wouldn't begrudge him that. But I don't know that Juventus are going to do that. So hey, let's roll on October the 5th.
One of his lines that he came out with in the post-match interviews, I'm not sure if it was recorded, it was definitely in one of the summaries on the website, that he talked about players coming in, and he mentioned players in the plural as well. So if he's bought into that project, if he knows his best mates coming from the national team, that if he's been tipped off that's a done deal, and there's guys of that caliber coming in, then he's not wanting to go anywhere as well. And to that point as well, Nuno's spoken about enhancing the squad as well, and I think he's been quite particular in using the squad term as well versus last season, where it's kind of more about the team. If Nuno's talking about squad, again, that gives me confidence that we're talking about multiple arrivals, and that feeling that we may not have been strong enough last season because we didn't have the bodies, or we needed those fresh ideas off the bench. I think that gives us good encouragement that if Nuno's talking squad, then more people are coming, and it's going to be it's going to be some exciting times.
And I think if you look at, Morgan Gibbs-White going out to Swansea, I think that's a great move for him. But, he was a good player to bring on as a sub. I know there's a lot of disappointment that he hasn't been able to push on a little bit, but you move him out, are you just going to bring one in to replace him, or are you going to bring 2 in? I know we've got Vitinha, but, it does make you think, maybe there are 2 or 3 more coming in.
I think, to that point as well, that Jordao's gone as well, and it was always two young midfielders. So that's 2 places that Vietana's took one. Say if that's Gibbs-White's, who's coming in for the Jordao position. And again, no smoke without fire, but I'd be staggered if we don't get that Polina from.
That went cold real quick, especially.
I just read something about that today again. Yeah, he sounds like a good.
It just makes sense in terms of the profile of midfielder who would come in and fit the shape of the team and be someone that he could rely on to come in and give good competition in the donk role, but even freshen it up a little bit and give more license to the likes of Neves and Moutinho to play 10 yards further forwards. I think, again, that's something a little bit different that we may not have seen.
And it's he's Portuguese with Mendes as his agent, so there you go.
More boxes checked.
And actually, talking about Corona, let's not downplay. It's not just about the football here. Wolves are looking to grow their global brand, and I don't think it's any great secret that there was potentially a North American tour in the plans for this summer, to really build off the back of Raul's and therefore Wolves' popularity in Mexico. And hey, you're adding Corona. That's a massive part of growing the global fan base, which I think is a big part of what Fosun's looking to do with growing Wolves to be one of the biggest teams in the world. So
yeah, Dave, you going to come down to Houston?
Well.
Are you going to come down to Houston for our big party when they are here next summer?
Absolutely. Paul, I am no stranger to traveling to fan fests and things like that. I'm still gutted that Philadelphia was postponed. I mean, we had over 100 fans coming to that. Wow. Any folks listening, obviously in the States, you probably know about the fan fest, but once hopefully when the Earth returns to its normal orbit, whenever that might be, and we start doing the fan fest, those are fantastic events. And Paul, you and I talked in Austin about, this is good, this was great, but what if? And all of that was happening for Philly. We had over 100 people. There was a player coming. There was a meetup the night before. Wow. The club was coming over. There were T-shirts made up. So, once things start getting back to normal, growing the fan base here through things like the fan fests and stuff like that's going to be really exciting to get that back on track.
It's going to give a really good pulse about that growth when we come back together for that type of event that we may have had 100 plus in Philly in 2020, but if it comes to 2021 and we've enjoyed a successful season if we're all back meeting up and the Earth's healed, we're going to be 200, 300, which we could well be.
It's been such a crazy journey. I've been here for over 30 years now, and I'd wear my Wolves stuff around, and no one would bat an eye. I have people recognizing the crest on my shirt, and I've even had somebody at the Miami Fan Fest. He wanted to buy my shirt because he loved Raul so much. It was my lucky black Fosun sponsored shirt from the Age Trophy. So I'm like, no, this is my lucky shirt. We always win when I wear this. So this is a priceless artifact. But if you wait 10 minutes, I got another one upstairs. I'll show you. I mean, what a difference! It's crazy.
Being down here in Houston, Paul and I experience it a lot of Mexico fans just coming up to us. Oh, Wolves, Raul Jimenez. I mean, it's great.
Yep.
You can talk to watching the game on Monday, Josh, and just having those new fans that start coming to Houston Wolves meetups, that we see a steady stream of new faces, and they've all got the gear on, and that's where the support is. It's brilliant to see that growth. It really is.
Yeah, I think we had like 3 new faces for Monday's game, and 2 of them were wearing Raul jerseys. There you go. That's another reason.
It's funny. I used to work for a company headquartered in Houston. I was down there quite a lot, but this was several years ago. And obviously not traveling to work at all right now. But I will definitely. I know, Paul, you and I almost met up once for the Man United game last season. But I would love to meet up with you guys. It's great to see such a great presence, and the legendary Clive from Houston.
Yes, the legend.
I remember him from the Wolves mailing list in like 1998 or something, way back. So I bumped into him after the last home game of the first season in the Premier League. I was staying at the Novotel, and I think the Wolves blog folks had a meetup, and I ended up bumping into Laurie Dalrymple. It was fantastic. And then there were a couple of guys, and they introduced me to this guy, Clive. I'm like, oh, Clive. You're Clive from Houston. Oh my God, I'm so excited that I finally met Clive from Houston. That was awesome. Made my day.
He's the best. I love Clive.
This portion of Whole Lotta Wolves is supported by your local area Ford dealers. Get offers and specials across the range of Ford trucks and SUVs, along with the latest on the all-electric Mach-E and returning Bronco, by visiting www.buyfordnow.com. That's www.buyfordnow.com.
As we approach the Man City game this Monday, we're going to take a closer look at the opponents by welcoming Mark and Joey, who run the Noisy Neighbors Man City podcast here in the States. How you guys doing?
All right, lads.
What's up, y'all? Yeah, here.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Welcome to a whole lot of Wolves. And for many of our listeners, they might not realise that just a few years ago, Man City hit some of their lowest of the lows and were in the third tier of English football. So do you still sometimes have to pinch yourself that you're now one of the world's kind of mega clubs? You got Pep as your manager, Player of the Year in De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling. I could go on. What's it like?
Yeah, great question. This is Mulv. First of all, can I say Wolves?
Raheem Sterling. I could go on. What's it like?
Yeah, great question. This is Mulv. First of all, can I say Wolves, proper club, none of that West Brom bollocks. Happy to be on the show with you. Yeah, it's been a wild ride as a City fan, since birth, really. Never in my wildest dreams that I think we'd ever be like a mega club. I mean, we've been up and down the leagues, like Wolves have. We basically won the lottery, and we know that. But I think as a fan base, certainly we deserve it. Some of the most loyal fans you'll ever find in the Football League. Been there and done it, up and down them like yourselves. But yes, I have to pinch myself almost daily at the levels we've gotten to, including the investment. But yeah, the Aguero goal in 2012 sort of sums it up to win the league there in the last minute. Like I can't. Every time I see it, I cry. Like I never in my wildest dreams imagined we'd ever, finish in the top four, never mind win the league or play in the Champions League. So it's a dream come true. Well, it's beyond that, really.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, what else can you ask for? The first thing I saw was City beating Gillingham. So this is a little bit different than that match, So can't complain. We went from Stuart Pearce and not scoring a goal at home for whatever it was, an entire season or some shit like that. And then now we got Pep and we're scoring a million. It's great.
Well, looking at the recent history too, obviously David Silva has been just a huge part of you guys' team. How tough was it to watch him walk away now at the end of this past season?
It doesn't feel right, I guess, because we really didn't get to see it, I mean, with the break we had in the middle of it, it was this weird kind of stop-start thing. He didn't really. It wasn't his best year, not by a million miles, but it just didn't feel right because we had this weird break in the middle, and you kind of forgot about most of the season, and then you come back, and he didn't really feature that much because Phil Foden kind of forced him out. So it was weird. It was a career filled with, firecrackers and explosions, and it just kind of went out with a simmer. It was it's a letdown more than anything. But it, we're treating him right. He's going to get a statue out front, which I think he deserves. I mean, he's the man. I think he's probably the best technical player the league's ever seen. So he deserves it. We were lucky to see him.
So as we enter this new season, some money's being spent. So how are some of your new signings going to come in? Can you talk about those guys a little bit? I must admit, I think that Nathan Ake is a tremendous signing, a kind of real Rolls Royce as a footballer and a centre-half who could be your version of Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, so talk us through these guys coming in. Who've you picked up? What are your expectations of how they're going to do?
Well, so just quickly, Joe, I'm going to let Joey answer this question, but I will say this, as it relates to Virgil van Dijk and, can he be like that? I will say in the famous words of Monty Python, we've already got one, and that is Laporte is our Virgil van Dijk. He's probably, with Van Dijk, top two centre-backs in the league, my opinion. But in regards to Ake and Ferran Torres, who've just come in, I'm going to let Joey talk about them.
Yeah, so you mentioned Ake. I'll be surprised if he plays centre-back for us a ton, honestly, just because of the system that we play. I think he's more likely to be a very, very expensive rotational guy at left back. I'd like to see him in the back. I think we would have to change systems and go to a back three where he'd be a part of that. But I just don't see Pep playing two left-sided center halves for whatever reason. But like you said, hell of a player. I think he's going to add a lot to the team, and he'll be able to give us something we probably haven't had in a while. I think the big thing we're looking for, though, and we'll probably get onto it later, is we're not looking for a Van Dijk. We're looking for another Vincent Kompany, and trying to find that is damn near impossible, because you're trying to replace. This would be like in 2010 saying we need. Wolves got a hell of a cutout of Vinny he just put on camera. It'd be like in 2010 going to AC Milan and saying, how are you going to find another Thiago Silva? It's so tough to replace somebody like that, and we haven't quite found it yet. The other guy we have gotten in already is Ferran Torres. He is a young winger from Valencia, early 20s. Looks really good. Wanted out of Valencia because if you followed any of the crap that's gone on there, it's really just a dumpster fire, to put it mildly. Everyone hates everyone. No one's happy. So he wanted out. We got him on the cheap. He looks like a steal. Another guy that I don't know is going to contribute immediately. It's tough to beat Raheem Sterling. So there's one spot that he's not going to take. The other side he's going to be battling Phil Foden, Riyad Mahrez, and potentially Bernardo Silva, who, if Bernardo Silva gets back to who he was a year and a half ago, you're dealing with a guy that was in the running for the Ballon d'Or. So, yeah, like I said, he might be a little bit down the road, but it's a steal. It's not a ton of money, and he's a guy that'll help us out a lot. That's all we've brought in so far. Pretty quiet summer for us.
Yeah. Well, it won't be quiet if you guys can actually get this cool Bali thing worked out. Yeah. So is that going to happen? I mean, I'm a FIFA guy, so I know all about him. He's tremendous in the game.
Oh, fantastic. Koulibaly. I mean, we desperately need a centre back. Joey just spent a few minutes talking about how desperately we need one there, and unfortunately everybody knows it. So they're holding out for as much money as they can possibly get. Obviously, when teams see Man City on the phone, the price goes way up. But I do think, we let last season pass without getting a proper replacement for Vinny, and I don't think we'll let another one go by. So I would expect him to arrive. It's going to be for big money. I doubt we're going to want to break our transfer record for him. But Pep's going to want somebody in there with some leadership, regardless of age. He's 29, right? It's not that the profile we usually go for. We usually go for much younger players. Needs must. So, yeah, I expect Koulibaly to come in for a big fee.
Yeah, that'll shore up you guys' back line for sure. He's tremendous. Okay, we're talking about this year's transfer window. What about next year's transfer window? And you know what I'm talking about. Somebody will not have lawyers keeping him at Barcelona next year.
That's right. Brandon Barker. Right? The EDS player from like 4 years ago. You guys all know who it is.
So are you getting Messi next year? Is that what you guys are expecting?
No. We'll believe it when we see it, sort of thing. I know he wanted to come, and I know it was never was close because Barcelona were never going to let him go. But I don't know. We never want to get our hopes up about somebody like that. You're talking about arguably the best player of all time, and for Man City to get him for free, the piss that would boil across, the big clubs in Europe would be worth it.
You thought UEFA was after us beforehand. Oh boy.
Yeah, right.
Just imagine. It's just a weird situation. I'm sure you guys remember, what was it, 8 years in a row that United was linked with Wesley Sneijder.
Wesley Sneijder, yeah.
Every year they were going to sign Wesley Sneijder. Since City got bought, every year, this is the year we're signing Messi, dude. He's coming. He's going to be in Sky Blue. And every year we're like, no, he certainly isn't. He's not going to show up. So this year it felt different, but I think if there ever was a chance, it was going to be right now, and I think that's past. So I think next year I don't know.
I'll tell you what, if we sign Messi, we'll do a show together again, yeah?
Oh, definitely.
All right.
If not, though, kick rocks.
We were getting excited at the Wolves because if you had signed him this pre-season, he'd probably been making his debut at the Molineux on Monday. So it's
True.
been one we've been looking at ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So guys, with a nod to our the audience here, what's the talk of the goalkeeping situation? Stack Stefan. Do you think he's in with a kind of genuine chance of dislodging Edison at some point, who, to be fair, has been known to have the old kind of prominent mistake in him from time to time?
Yeah, thanks for that red card earlier in the last season.
Yeah, noted
welcome.
against the Wolves.
You're welcome. We will give up the red card in return for Golden Gloves winner for this season. So we'll take it. I don't see Zach Steffen displacing him. I think that's a massive reach. I mean, this is a guy that, like I said, Gold Glove pushed Allison for it the year before. I mean, there's your two best keepers in the league, I think. And I just don't see Steffen pushing him for it. I think what Steffen is going to be, though, is the perfect foil when it comes to cup competitions, because if we're playing teams that are, a little bit further down the pyramid, and you need a guy that can go in there and still play pretty much the same way as Ederson, maybe not as haphazard, but can block shots, is good with his feet, can still play it within the system. I think that's what you want. You want to go like that. He's young enough, and we've got the living legend Scott Carson there to make sure that everyone is keeping their chin up in training. So that's great. And I think Steffen he'll get enough games. He'll definitely get enough to still show up for the U.S. men's national team, and it'll probably be pretty good for everybody involved.
Can I comment quickly on your goalkeeper, who made one of the best saves I've ever seen in my life against Raheem Sterling like 2 seasons ago? Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Phenomenal save. He was absolutely brilliant that day. It's Patricio, right?
That's right. I think with the gold tinted spectacles, I only mentioned about Allison and Edison being two best keepers in the Premier League. I think the past 2 seasons that Patricio's been really close behind him, and he's improved a ton. He's in his 30s, 31, I think he is. But even coming in to the Wolves, where you've seen a progression from him, that he's been a great shot stopper. But you see less now of the punching, and he comes out, he claims balls, he's kicking and distribution, a little like you guys. That's important, how we build from the back a little bit, and that's come on tremendously as well. So I'd have thought he'd have probably been in with a better chance of having the goalkeeper spot in Team of the Year last year instead of Tom Pope, but I can kind of see how he got it at Burnley.
So what's the expectation for you guys this year? Is it Champions League or bust?
Okay, so you're gonna have like expectations differing between fans and probably the club itself. So as a fan of a few decades, expecting my club to win the league, win the Champions League seems a bit much. However, if you're if you work at the club, or you play for the club, the expectations are different. You've had a lot of money invested in you. You're world-class players. You got Pep Guardiola at the helm. I think you would expect to either win the league or win the Champions League finally. So for people like Joey and I, we love just winning trophies. That's gravy for us,
Stuff in the cabinet.
But you do have to be realistic and realize that we're not in the 3rd tier anymore, and we have spent loads of money. So expectations come with that, and I'm sure that the great thing about Guardiola is he goes for everything, right? None of this cup nonsense where he's tossing off domestic cups left and right just to try and focus on other ones. So Pep will go for everything, and luckily enough, we won all 4 of the domestic ones 2 seasons ago, which was never been done before in English football. So a trophy a season for us is fantastic as fans, but ultimately I think the club is going to want to win everything.
And you think you guys have done enough now to catch Liverpool?
I think that centre back is a massive hole.
I see Joey just shaking his head like crazy.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm
if you listen to our last episode, you'll understand how I feel about it. It's not good.
it's all about mentality for me. City came off the back of 2 seasons. I think we got 198 points total over 2 seasons. It was absolutely stuff of dreams. And to expect us to go again a third time, I think was probably asking too much. I don't know if you remember that dogfight for the title, 18-19 between Liverpool, and we both had to win our last 14 games to win the league, and it was just back and forth. And I just think it sucked the life out of us, and we're destined to have a down season. So it's all about mentality now, and do we have the hunger back to go for it again? So let's wait and see.
I love how a down season for you guys is finishing second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird place, man. Because when all this stuff first happened, like when we first got money, a down season was like 7th or 8th, and then it just got worse. Like the more money, more problems, dude. Like the more money we spent, the worse it got. Like I wouldn't trade the trophies for anything, obviously, but it would be nice to not be under the microscope for like a year. I'm just like, oh my God, did you believe Raheem Sterling bought a new sink for his house? Unbelievable. He got a gun tattooed on his leg. He probably killed people. It's hold on, dude. Can we just back off like a little bit on these dudes? Golly.
When UEFA were after us and subsequently probably the FA, there were threats that we were going to get tossed back down to the bottom of the football leagues, and we said, bring it on. Let's go. Been there, done that.
I'm ready for an away at Burton Albion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get any VAR at Burton Albion, so that's one positive for sure. Yeah.
I think we could throttle Altrincham. I'm not kidding. I think we could really do some damage.
Yeah, that'd be a good derby. So finally, guys, as we wrap up, we've got a little music influence running through our podcast with the title and the fact that it comes from a band with a very famous frontman who, I don't know, I'm going to be biased and say could be the coolest famous fan. But you've got a couple of guys who may give Mr. Plant a run for his money, who've enjoyed some level of success stateside with the Gallagher brothers, Noel and Liam, formerly of Oasis. So reunion on the cards with a comeback gig in front of thousands at the Etihad, or is it an irreparable relationship?
Oasis, yeah. City are synonymous with Oasis, aren't they? In fact, a lot of American City fans found Man City through Oasis. But in terms of a reunion for those two, I think they said when City win the Champions League, they'll get back together. So it looks like it's not on the cards, lads.
That's not even the most tumultuous, like irreparable relationship that we've been involved with. Yeah. So you guys ever heard of the Smiths?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So Johnny Marr is a big, massive City fan. Also, weirdly enough, fan of ours, and we interviewed him on his tour bus for our show in Dallas a year and a half ago. You want to talk about coolest man, not even front man, just coolest dude that's ever lived? That's him.
Yeah.
It's him. He's the man.
If we're putting forward our coolest, celebrity, and if Wolves are putting forward Robert Plant, then we'll have to match you with Johnny Marr, I think. Yeah. The Oasis lads, they're not. Let's face it, they're not doing that great a part, are they? We'll try to match Robert Plant with our Johnny Marr. We'll leave it there.
Mulv, Joey, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show. Much appreciated.
Yeah, the results are similar to last year.
Yeah. All the best of the season, apart from the 2 times that you play the Wolves. That's what
we hate playing you lot. So let's turn it around this season.
Here's to a top 4 finish for both of us, and United finishing 9th.
Going to be a big one. We pulled off 2 shockers last year. You think we got another one in us?
I think we always do. I to be honest, no, I was actually lucky enough to be at that home game in December.
Oh wow!
Just wow. I mean, after that match, I thought about it, and I don't fear anyone. There's no team on the planet that I fear. We get drawn against Barcelona, I think we can do a job. Whether we do or not, obviously, you got to play the game. But I'm not scared of anyone. Having said that, I think Man City will be, despite what the other guy said earlier, I think they're going to be hurting that they got beaten to the title by Liverpool so convincingly. So I think they're going to be on a mission to get the title back, and I think potentially, they might be on a bit of a mission to, get a bit of revenge on us for last season. So, but again, that's the pessimistic Wolves fan in me. I think we can. Yeah, why not?
I had the pessimistic Wolves fan in me before the Sheffield United game, was just thinking, kind of statistically thinking, Man City probably owe us one at Molineux, and they're probably due a result. Now I'm not so sure after that performance against Sheffield United. So I've got more confidence that we'll get a result. But it's gonna be a tough game. It really is, and they're going to come all guns blazing. I think being their first game. But again, it's kind of behind closed doors. Who knows that these early games at the start of the season, the atmosphere is different. Players are at different levels, especially kind of coming back at different times. So yeah, I think kind of predictions a little bit kind of go out the window for this one.
The other thing that makes me nervous is my brother pointed out to me a long time ago, Wolves never win on Koppe family birthdays. And unfortunately, Monday is my wife's birthday. So,
well, you have a few days to get a divorce.
Marriage advice from Whole Lot of Wolves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that's interesting. But Nuno doesn't do traditions like that. I mean, we won on the Riverside for the first time since what was it, 1753 or something. So, Nuno doesn't do that stuff. So we'll see.
So what's your official prediction?
2-1 Wolves.
My head says a loss, but my heart says a draw. So I'm going 1 each.
Yeah, I was going to go with the draw as well. I think 2-2. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. I still think Wolves' style really sets them up well going against Man City with the counterattack. So I think 2-2 draw.
So how are we going to watch the game on Monday, Josh, in terms of TV coverage?
Well, it's not on a main NBC channel, so it will be on the Peacock app, which replaced NBC Gold this year. And if you have Xfinity cable, like I do, Peacock is free on the TV, which is nice. But if not, there's a 7-day trial, and you have a code, don't you?
Yeah, I downloaded the app off Google Play for my Android device, and they sent pretty much an email immediately with 2 months free, I think it was. So that brings the overall cost down that you kind of subscribe if you're thinking for the season, but you get first 2 months free. Then it's a little discount that always helps.
Yeah, and I feel like it's more of a value than NBC Sports Gold was last year, because you're going to get more in there than just the games.
Yeah, I'll be watching on Peacock. I subscribed. I think it's $30 a year for the premium, and Gold was $55 last year. Plus, then you get all the other NBC content. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, I agree. So finally, in this week's supporter group focus, it's over to you, David, to tell everybody about New York Wolves, where you guys are going to meet up for the rest of the year, how to get in touch with you, and all that other great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Where we're going to meet up is very complicated at this time in the world. But we actually, for anyone who's stopped by and watched games with us, we actually have a new home now. We meet at McHale's on 51st Street. It's right in the middle of Times Square, so it's really easy for people to find. There were a couple of Europa games last year where we had people walk in who were just coming in for lunch, happened to be from Wolverhampton, and didn't realize that we were watching. So really easily accessible. As far, we're on NYC Wolves is the website. We're obviously part of the Worldwide Wolves network. NYCWolves@gmail.com is email address, and we're on Facebook. Just search for New York Wolves. Twitter is NYC Wolves Fans, and Instagram is NYC Wolves. So it covers just about every physical way of contacting us. McHale's is the physical location. We love hosting, visiting Wolves fans, and even if it's a game during the week where maybe we're all at work, the staff at McHale's are big football fans. They actually have a signed John Ruddy shirt because one of the groundsmen at Wolves happened to walk into McHale's a few seasons ago and said, "Hey, do you think you can put the Wolves match on?" And they've stayed in touch, and he got them a signed John Ruddy shirt. So they happen to be inherent Wolves fans, even without us being there. So it's a great location, really convenient. So hope to see some folks visiting when the world starts returning to a little more of normality. So appreciate the time on the podcast. It's been great talking with you guys.
Yeah, likewise. And the first time of many, all being well, that we get you back on and we talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking throughout the season. That's the point of Whole Lot of Wolves, that we're talking to guys across the country. And yeah, it's been great. Thank you. If you're listening for the first time, please subscribe and please like the podcast and review it and share it and all of the other stuff that you can do on your podcast listening channel of choice to help promote Whole Lot of Wolves. It means a great lot if you can go on there and give us 5 stars. Josh, been a pleasure as always. We will speak again next week, and thanks again, everyone, for listening.